What's up, everybody? I'm going to be doing a pickup swap on this guitar. It's a unbranded 8-string I bought about a year ago from a guy off Macari. The story he told me is he had it made by a Chinese factory kind of before you could find 8-string guitars from like the major manufacturers. Nothing special about it. It's got a standard 24 and 3/4 inch scale length, I believe, off the top of my head. The pickups that are in it are a soap bar style pickup. They're really weak output. I'm going to be dropping in some Seymour Duncan Invader clones, essentially. Should be a lot higher output than what's in here. The pickups I'm taking out are a soap bar style directly mounted to the body. The pickups I'm putting in are more traditional humbuckers with legs, so I'm going to have to do some additional clearancing to get them to fit. I'm not going to be busting out the router for this one. I'm just going to use my chisels. As you can see here in the video right now, what I'm doing is I'm taking my X-Acto blade and I'm scoring the finish on the marks I made to try and avoid chip out. But as you'll see, there'll be a little bit of Murphy's Law in this one. Doesn't go exactly as planned, leading to some chips and some finish work with touch up, trying to match it as best as I can with the materials and tools I already have on hand. Now, that being said, it comes out pretty good. I'm not going to bullshit you, it's not perfect. It's definitely noticeable. I could have done it a lot better if I spent more time on it, but I'm not really worried about the looks of this one. I'm more going for the sound that I want, and I definitely achieved that in the end. But as you'll see, there's a few monkey wrenches thrown in there, so. But you can't win them all. As far as the rest of the video goes, I'll chime in and kind of explain what I'm doing here and there. I'm not really making this video for anyone else. I'm doing it more for myself. But if you want to watch, sit back. Hope you enjoy. If you've got any suggestions or feedback, let me know. Just, golden rule, don't be an asshole. Now, over the years, people that have known me have told me I needed to be documenting more of my projects. Now, I don't just do guitars or musical instruments, although that's a vast majority. That's kind of my passion. I also have a CNC router, a laser engraver, a 3D printer. The list kind of goes on and on. My father was a wood carver and a woodworker, so I kind of grew up in that environment and early on learned how to use tools. And I think more beneficial, what I took away from that is the ability, if something does go wrong, to kind of step back, assess it, get a level head and figure out how to proceed going forward. Which, what happens right here in just a second is a perfect example of that.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Oh, really? That sucks.
Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. Don't cry.
So, that is the perfect example of not everything going as planned. In this situation, I actually did take a moment, decided to go ahead and push forward, finish out the chiseling I was doing in case any other chips or anything happened. Now here I'm just placing the mounting rings over the area that's affected to kind of see if it would cover it up. I didn't plan on using them. I don't use them in the end. I just went ahead and direct mounted the pickups with some foam to get the height I needed. Here I'm just showing that I super glued the clear coat chips back down. Now, I didn't realize initially, I probably should have, but a lot of the tint of the body, a lot of the color is actually in the clear coat on this particular guitar. So it leads to a little bit more of an in-depth touch-up. What I'm doing right now is just painting some black on the inside of the body where I chiseled it out to get it looking as nice as possible. Now I'm just using a razor blade with scotch tape on the either side of it, leaving about 5 millimeters in the middle as a scraper. The purpose of the tape is to act as a depth stop so you don't go too deep into the surrounding finish around the repair. I'm actually using super glue as the clear coat for the repair. Super glue is great for this. It's great for spot repairs and little chips. It dries fast, it dries clear, and honestly, it's probably a lot more durable than the poly finish that's on this guitar. It's about right here that I realize that a lot of the amber color of the sunburst is in that clear coat. I know it's a little blurry, but this is Creatix airbrush paint. The color is Grabber Orange. Another one of my hobbies. I actually got this color and a couple of the other ones I end up using along with it from a set for doing realistic airbrush flames. I'm just brushing this on instead of spraying it because I'm using it more like a tint. I'm going to come back and wipe a lot of this off. I'm just getting close to the color that's around it and kind of blending it in. I know from experience, without using some of the other Creatix products, that this color will fade over time, so I'm kind of overshooting it and going a little bit darker because in the future it will lighten. This color I'm applying directly over the other color is Tequila Yellow. This is actually another from the same Realistic Flame pack. Now these are transparent colors, and generally if you were spraying them, you'd be using a sealer in between them to keep them from blending. I want them to blend in this case because I'm trying to match a certain color. The next color I'm throwing in this blend is a blood red. Now I'm just using a very, very tiny amount of this just to darken it down a little bit more. This is an opaque yellow. Before I apply this yellow, I'm going to wipe down a little bit of the tint I've already put on, see where I'm at, see if I need to build up a little bit more, which in this case I do. So I'm going to go ahead and apply the opaque yellow mixed with a little bit of the transparent finishes and bring more color into it. Again, I'm trying to overshoot it overall, just a hair darker. Now I'm going to mix some of that transparent paint directly with the super glue and put it back over the chipped areas and build up the finish just a little bit more before I go back, level it once again, and then buff and polish. Skipping ahead a little bit, I'm back to scraping the finish with my razor to get it back level again. The key here is just taking your time, not rushing it, making sure it's as flat and as smooth of a transition as possible. Moving on to buffing it, I'm using a medium buffing compound. I'll go through the process of buffing and polishing, and I'll go back and see what areas need to be touched up still. In the end, I do have to do a lot more of it. I was having a little bit of trouble getting the buffing compound to stay on my wheel, so I ended up just heating it up and applying it directly to the finish and then buffing from there.
Whoa! Damn, man, look at that, look!
I hope that wasn't a jump scare for anyone. I was just having a little bit of fun with this editing. It's the first time I've really done it, but I actually cut a lot of this out. I went back and I probably did 3 or 4 passes of buffing and polishing, buffing, polishing before I got the results I was really happy with. I'm using this ruler along the top of the frets and to the bridge, and I'm sighting down the side of the body to gauge how high I need to bring the pickups up. Since I'm doing a direct mount to these pickups, I won't have any adjustment. So I'm using bits of foam to get them to the appropriate height. And being totally honest here, 2 of the screws kept falling off my magnetic screwdriver. It was driving me crazy. I ended up taking a piece of tape and just taping it to the screwdriver enough to hold which worked out in the end. I'll save that for the future in case I need it again. So here in a second, you'll kind of see the results of the finished repair. As I said, I overshot it, knowing that it should fade back a little bit.
And I said that you can't always get what you want, honey. You can't always get what you want. You can't always get what you want.
It does look like shit.
Until we meet again!
What shall we use to conduct this beautiful current with? What one particular element comes to mind?
Wire.
What can I say? I love Breaking Bad. I don't think I mentioned it yet, but I'm actually replacing the tone pot in this guitar with a push-pull pot. The humbuckers I'm using are 5-wire, so I'll be able to split the coils and get a single coil sound, getting a little bit more usefulness out of this guitar. The 8-string is more of a novelty to me. I mean, I grew up playing 6-string guitars. It's what I know. Maybe in the future I'll bond with a little bit more that I've done this swap and it has more of the sound that I want from it. But as of right now, it's kind of just a novelty. There's not much to say here. Wiring's kind of tedious and probably a little boring for anybody watching. Can't really explain what I'm doing, at least in the format of this video. Maybe in the future, if I do more videos, which I plan to do a lot more of my projects, probably a lot more guitar videos, but some other things sprinkled in here and there. I'll take time and I'll explain more of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. But that being said, if anyone wants this diagram for this is just a dual humbucker. It doesn't matter if it's 8-string humbuckers, but dual humbucker, single volume, 3-way switch, and a push-pull tone pot. If you need that diagram and you don't know how to search for it yourself, I'll put it down in the description. You can go download it. It's pretty simple to follow if you know what you're doing. In the future, I may do some more electronic style instructional videos and go over everything from a base level, from how to read the schematic to how to get started soldering and wiring. Finally, making a video alongside of a project and documenting it has definitely been another creative outlet for me. I've thoroughly enjoyed the video editing. Hopefully I get better at it. I'm sure I suck at the voiceover. And going forward, I'll try other formats in the future. That being said, there was probably 5 to 6 hours of footage that I recorded for this and edited down to this, was it 24-minute long video. So hopefully, if you stuck it out with me and watched till the end, I hope you enjoyed it. I'll do a short demo of the sound of the guitar at the end. Unfortunately, I didn't think until afterwards to get a sound of the pickups that were in it originally. I'll probably go ahead and ohm out the pickups so you can see the difference between them. The ones will be out of circuit compared to in circuit of the new pickups. But if anyone's interested, I'll throw the links to these pickups down in the description. Like I said, they're kind of a Seymour Duncan and Vader clone. Definitely a lot cheaper. I think I paid maybe $20 for these. This was definitely a thread the needle moment, maneuvering the soldering iron between the existing wiring to get this one hooked up to the volume pot. It's definitely a lot easier to remove the pots from the guitar and solder them outside and just drop them in when you're done. So I actually thought I was done with the wiring, and when I flipped it over to test it, I didn't have any sound in the middle position of the switch. I forgot that this style of three-way blade switch, it has 5 contacts. You have to bridge the 2 outer contacts together for the middle position. But as you can see here, got it all working in the end. Works with the push-pull, splits it down to a single coil mode. Now I'm taking some lemon oil, Dunlop 65, and letting it soak into the fretboard. I generally apply it. I go back with a brush and I paint it in a little bit to get full coverage on the fretboard, and I'll let it sit there for a good 5 to 10 minutes before I wipe it off. Some people don't do it this way. I've personally never had any issues doing it this way. Now I'm going to take a slotted ruler and check that the neck is flat. After that, this is a fret rocker. I'm making sure the frets are nice and flat. There's no high frets. Here I'm using a Ernie Ball 8-string slinky set. I cannot recommend the Ernie Ball highly enough. I've used them exclusively for at least the last 15 years. Well, everything except for my Taylor acoustic. It came from the factory strung up with Elixir Nano Webs. I used to not really care for Elixirs, but having used them on that, I really enjoy the feel and the sound and the longevity of them, but they are incredibly overpriced. Now, sadly, there's not really a way to make stringing up a guitar any more entertaining. It can be a little time consuming and tedious on an 8-string. I'm just thankful in this moment it's not a 12-string at least. Maybe I should actually buy a string winder.
This bulletin is from the Press Radio Bureau.